this needs to be solved ASAP.
We're not talking triple digits, so
No. God no.
Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. Don't do that. Come on, man.
Hello, welcome back to the podcast Evolve with me, Lewis and Sam. How's it going, Sam?
Hello. I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well, getting into rhythms of the new job. But yeah, it's been good. 2025 seems blessed so far. Touch wood, it stays that way. How about you?
Yeah, man, it's all good. Same here. You know what? It's actually mad that you just reminded me of something. You know how when people come up with like really cheesy corporate sayings? On my first day in office, I had a call with like a partner, and she said she first of all she apologized before she said it because she knew it was gonna make me want to hit my screen. She said 2020 thrive.
Oh no, I've not heard that before, and I don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that.
I had to share that with everyone. Hope everyone's throwing up at home. Yeah, guys.
No.
2020 thrive, guys. It's your year.
No, God. The US is already on fire. Can we take this year one step at a time, please? The drama's started.
I'm not gonna lie.
Before week 2 was done.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's. Yeah, I hope everyone in LA is safe. But yeah. I'm just saying, this has the exact same DNA as 2020, how it started, and it's quite frightening.
Didn't they make a movie about how the world would end in 2020 or something like that? Was it 2012? Something weird like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it has the same DNA. We keep getting told
we're overdue for some, and it's like, all I'm seeing is trickle effects towards it. I'm going to start digging a hole in my garden for safety at this point.
Yeah, fair.
Get a bunker ready.
But no, man, it's good. I have a confession to make. I'm going to save it for the pod to be accountable.
Go on.
After getting the new job before Christmas, I enjoyed Christmas too much. The scales, Sam.
Oh, Lewis.
The number was getting. I put on a few kg, and I felt attacked. And
okay, listeners,
my dinner was a air fried cod and spinach. I was like, it's unbig back season.
Listeners, the next 5 seconds or more will be me fat shaming Lewis. If you're sensitive to that, skip at least a minute for safety. Because this fat bastard over here made mad promises about getting healthier, getting fitter. We were meant to be 2025 in, right? And this bastard over here decided to just pig out on what? It's I know you don't like New Year's resolutions, but you just made a goal to be a healthier person.
No, but the thing is, I didn't. You
let yourself and your grandchildren down.
I weighed myself after that because I literally bought new scales because literally the other ones broke, which is a sign in itself. Just because it was in the bathroom and all that sort of shit. And I was like, let me just buy one just to see if it's that bad. Because I was like, it's probably fine. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to sort my shit out. So now it's been good this week. I got a half marathon in April. So I've been on I think my third one's tomorrow. Went gym today. So everything's going back to its normal place. But I think when I got the new job and I was like, oh, it's Christmas, let's celebrate, let's chill, I did more damage than I thought I did. So I was like, okay, I need to stop. I enjoyed my celebration. I have no regrets about it. But I was like, okay, I need to unbig my back now. So I'm publicly saying I'm going to sort it. It's all good. Because, I've got to be able to look good at your wedding. So, I can't put shame. I don't want to see
no creases around the waistline.
Can't
no
put
one's
shame.
Embarrassing me.
Oh, bro, you know what? I've been there. And it hurts.
I know.
It hurts.
When my only option for one of Sarah's friends' weddings, my only option, because no other suit place fits me, and I'm not going to get anything tailored. One, I'm not going to get anything tailored for a wedding that isn't mine. Sorry, but I'm sensible about my money now these days. And 2, I bought it short notice. So I went to every other suit place I would have gone to when I was a slimmer gent. And the first thing was, I went to Hugo Boss, and the guy literally looked at me and went, "Who sent you here?" That hit different. Then he suggested he said, "Who sent you here?"
He called you the ops.
Yep.
Who sent you? Oh,
and then he suggested I go to Reese, which I now feel like was an attack.
That's
because I
definitely an
went to
attack.
Reese, and then the guy, he said the same thing, and I went to the guy from Hugo Boss, and then a smile was on his face, and I just realised I've been caught between retail banter, and I'm part of their joke now, but it's fine. I remember their faces,
No.
and you've got to leave work at some point. I'll see you. And then I mean, long story short, I didn't bother going to Ted Baker because I used to work there, and I know they don't have my size in store, so I didn't even bother going there. I know as soon as I got up, they'll be like, Sam, come on, Sam,
Sam, you
get
know the
out here,
sizes.
get outside, you idiot. So I didn't bother. Ended up going to Slater's, and Slater's is basically a warehouse of suits that look nice, but you don't want to tell people you got it from Slater's.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was quite mean, but arguably kind of true. Um, and there was, out of all their options, there was only one that fitted me and looked good, and it was one that someone had returned on from online because it was too big for them, and that's why I wore to the wedding. I looked
It's
good though.
growth.
Don't get me wrong; it looked good. It was nice. It was like it was a flex fit or something, so it's a bit stretchy and it looked good. So I felt like the arms were arming, muscles. It's like I'm not fat. I'm just big boned. I'm just big boned. It looked good, but yeah,
There's
that
just
was.
more to love, is what you tell yourself.
Yeah, there's more of me to cuddle and hold, man. Winter was cuddling season. I don't know. But yeah, that was my motivation to sort this out, and I'd like to think that you wouldn't want to get to that point.
Nah,
Good.
absolutely not. But to be fair, it's not that bad. But I was just like, the number shouldn't have been what it was, and I was like, this needs to be solved ASAP.
We're not talking triple digits, are
So
we?
no, God no.
Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. Don't no. Like no, don't do that. Come on, man. There were more subtle ways to say no just then.
My weight isn't going to be someone's PB. I can't allow that.
Mad.
But it's not that bad. But it's close. It was close. It was a warning to be like, okay. And then I did that thing where I went for a run and came back, and I was like,
yeah,
a kg and a half less, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
Had a little sweat session, came back like, it's all good. I'm not dying.
But
fair play though. Fair play.
But it's good. To be fair, like, it's going to be a blessing to move out of fully move out of London in like the next few weeks, because
yes,
the delivery options I won't have, and I actually have no other choice than to cook and air fry shit, and that's going to be good for me because it's so easy to order food right now, whereas when I don't have that option, then it's like, oh well, I'm not. It doesn't. It's just easy for me to get away from it, which is what I'm trying to say. So I'm looking forward to being further away from that and just gym and run consistently, which is going to be good. It'll be
I'd
good
say
for me.
you don't realize how expensive ordering food is until you do your totals on your delivery, and then you remember you've got Uber Eats, and then you remember you don't just have Uber Eats, you have the specifically McDonald's app. I took a little glance across all of them, and myself and Sarah had to have a word around our behaviors.
I think having a specific chains app downloaded on your phone, that's too far. Like, Deliveroo is at least just range. Like, if you have a Domino's app or a McDonald's app, that means you're a loyal member. You can't be a member. Yeah,
I have both, and when I see that face moving around, I'm happy. But you know what? I have to love them and miss them. McDonald's, hold on to my points. I'll be back at the end of the year to use them for something good. But until then, healthy living. I'm not swearing off McDonald's. Sometimes I can't be asked to cook, and that's fine. I've not eaten breakfast, but I also will not be an avid buyer of these delivery foods this year.
Yeah, man. No, that's
let's try and do something healthy with ourselves.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. All right, today's topic, Sam.
We are talking about mentorship.
Yes.
Right.
Both. Yes.
What meant? Are we digging deeper? Or are we going to talk about? I've got mad stories.
I think we're going to talk about the role of mentorship or having a mentor in your career path, career journey, or whether it's if you've been a mentor yourself as well. I've had experience being a mentor as well as the mentee. So yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah. So I've got a few.
Deep dive. What story is on the tip of your tongue?
Right. So I've had a few mentors in my time, and they've all been different levels of crazy. Some have been good, but ultimately, I think weirdly enough, a lot of them have been like weird father figures, which is weird. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I basically look for like dads in mentors. Is that weird? Do I have
I
daddy
think that's
problems?
between you and your therapist to discuss.
Yeah, I think. Nice talking to you about it, Spotify and YouTube. Welcome to my world. No, as someone who's been a mentee, I think a lot of my mentors have been very much career focused. I've rarely had a mentor that's focused specifically on business, apart from one. Nice guy actually called Joseph. Although he has some quirky ideas, I can't help but get annoyed at the fact that some of his ideas, well, most of the stuff he said was true, to be honest. And I think that's the one thing I've had about mentors. So I'd say the Joseph one mainly because I'm only going to say his name. But I remember one of the things he told me was there's very few things that are consistent across all forms of marketing for business. And one of those things is sex.
Okay.
And one of those, and I think he gave me some terminology that I really wish I like put together. I might message him back. Can you remember of it? Well, basically, it's like there are three key terms to focus on. It was like sex, food, and something else, right? And he basically said it doesn't have to be directly those things, but it's kind of aligned with those things. So
Is it
sex
sex, food, and
being like,
money?
I think it was actually. And he's basically,
Yeah,
I think it was. And he's
must
basically
be.
saying like, it's not that they're directly, it's not like, oh, your website has to have porn on it, but it has to like touch on that. It has to, if you really want to grab attention, if you want to get things moving, you have to touch one of those three things or all three things if you can in some degree. So an example would be you're selling clothing brand, right?
Mm.
You could do a luxury item clothing brand and target the rich people and make it all about the money and make it about an expression of wealth and making them seem. It could be explicit. It could be very like savage in how it talks and all these things. Or food is more of like gluttony. So it could be like an expression of someone's needs and wants. It could be like a gaming thing where someone really gets into gaming and that's all they care about. So it's expression of that. And that's just for t-shirt brand. But we did it more around like anxious extrovert at the time when I had it and talking about okay, how would it work? And he was basically saying around like sex sells, like start maybe writing some mental health content around sex, or start writing it around like physical attraction. Start building it around like people's needs and wants. What would someone want to become a sexy human being to their peers? That kind of thing. And I was just like, okay, now now he's saying it out loud. It sounds less like he's on drugs and more like it makes sense. And then as I went through it, it kind of threw my brain to quite a few other mentors I've had. I've had other mentors who've been like business. So the old CEO for Uni Days, he was a really good mentor of mine for a while. I also had the old head of tech at Uni Days, who's still one of my closest friends actually. He'll be at
Mm.
the wedding. Um, and they've all been like, I hope they appreciate I'm saying this, but they're all weirdos within their own respects. They're all very quirky people, but that is what I like from my mentors. I like someone who's got like a unique edge, someone who's different from normal people. And why I'm saying that is because I don't want to be like everyone else. I want to be like them. I want to be unique in my own right to myself. And if I see someone as unique, the rest of the world might not. They might see him as a dick. They might see him as a odd bod. But if I see you as a unique person, in a sense that there's something about you that I want to learn and embody myself, I want you to be my mentor. I want you to kind of help guide me away from the things they did wrong towards the things that brought them to the successes they're at today. And I say that a lot of my mindset now is based on a combination of all the different mentors I've had. Um, for me, a mentor isn't just a mentor can isn't just someone I've gone to for business advice. It could also be a friend. It could also be a relative. Just someone who can give me guidance on a consistent basis, not just the one time we went for a pint and then I've never heard from him. So that's not a mentor. That's just someone who gave me good advice.
Yeah.
A mentor is someone who can do it more consistently for me. Um, I I was going to just fully unleash some mad stories, and whilst I was saying it, I was like, no, I actually like these people, so I'm not gonna. And I'm sure they all listen to the podcast, so definitely not doing that to myself. The bridges will not be burnt today. We keep them running. But yeah, what about you?
um, I think I've had I've known the importance of having mentors for quite a while, like ever since uni. And one thing that was actually quite good when I was at Microsoft on my internship was that they actually highly encouraged that you get mentors
Right.
throughout. And at that point, it was very much like I was reaching out to people who were in very senior positions And I remember basically the best piece of advice that I ever got
Hmm.
um, was I went to it was like a global head of like some third party gaming, and I was like, I want to understand how you got to your position, how you navigate it, because there's so many people here who are doing a similar job, who are really smart, and some people who you may think even like should get the job like over you or whatever. I was like, so
Yeah.
how come you got the job,
Hmm.
and how do you not get like stuck? Because a lot of people have been there for like 25 years and doing the same job. How do you get stuck? And they basically said like between every 2 to 3 years, change your role either like
Hmm.
horizontally or diagonally or like vertically upwards. Like just don't get comfortable.
Yeah.
And I remember my boss, he had been in the same role for 7 years. I remember where like a director role opened, and I was like, you should have had this job. Like, why didn't you apply? And he was like, well, I've been doing this role for 8 years, and I got because he got paid a lot,
Yeah.
and he knew the job in and out. He got very comfortable, and he just basically stayed there. I remember my dad was telling me he had like a similar experience where got into a role, stayed comfortable there. Like he should have moved about more. And everybody, and so many people who I spoke to who got a very high paying job at a relatively young age or relatively young point for their career,
Hmm.
and they get comfortable and they think they've made it, and then they don't move, and then they just keep on doing that job and they enjoy the luxury. But then they want to change things. They're like, oh, now I'll progress, but you now have all these people who are learning
Hmm.
new things and developing more than you. So, and I remember the director who left Xbox at the time left because he says like I could have easily stayed, but I know I'm now comfortable and I need to put myself in an uncomfortable situation. And he's now like the VP of the Destiny franchise or some shit.
These people have such a luxury of choice, though. It's crazy.
Yeah,
That's like to seek discomfort, you've got to be so comfortable that
yeah,
the stress is where your excitement comes from.
yeah.
Like you've got to have
I
such a
remember going to his leaving drinks at his house.
relaxed life.
He was comfortable. He
Yeah,
was living large. He had a
the
house in
fact
Kew
that he
Gardens,
hosted
bro.
the fact that he hosted the leaving drinks at his house should tell you how
Yeah,
comfortable
at
this
his
guy
family
was.
home in Kew Gardens. Like he lived in Kew. I didn't know what that meant at like 19. I
Mm,
do now. I was like,
mm,
oh, we rich.
mm.
Yeah.
Like
So
those type of people to go get lost on an island just to feel what it's like to have a thrill in your life. That's the
yeah,
kind of mindset that
but
that's impressive though.
I think I lost like the Xbox role. Like there were a bunch of like there were issues with it, but in
Yeah.
terms of, I think if anyone here is like doing an internship or anything like that, you have free reign to ask whatever the fuck you want without any consequences because you're an intern,
100%. Well, they ain't
and
gonna pay you.
that exactly. And
They
it's
ain't
like
gonna pay
you
you.
could
Just do
say
what you want.
literally, I couldn't go to my VP
Yeah.
now and like just message him and be like, hey, be my mentor. I'll be really appreciate or anything. I wouldn't. By the way,
Yeah.
never ask like that. But you couldn't just message someone being like 28 and be like, hey, looking for a mentor. Can you mentor me in like this, and this?
Hmm.
You don't get that luxury when you're in a full time paid position. But if you're an intern and you could just phrase it as you're looking to learn, and everyone feels really happy because people love to be seen as idols, and you got to
Yep.
play to people's emotions to basically get the mentorship. And like some of these mentors, like I didn't really like them as people, some of them, but I very much valued where they were.
Yeah.
And you sometimes got to take. Obviously, I know that can be a bit immoral, but when I literally had like zero experience, I was like, I need to get the best out of this. I did basically be like, you know what? I know they're not probably the best person, but I know they will have good advice because I know
Mm.
they got to here. And believe it or not, some people you don't like who got to where they are have valuable shit to say, and that's one thing that I
Yeah.
would say.
But
One
they
thing,
might not want to say it to you.
no, but one of the things which I did learn as well is that you
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to know your mentor,
Yeah.
because everyone who you would consider or would love to have as a mentor, like your Stephen Bartlett's of the world,
Hmm.
Sam Grantson from Evolve podcast, you know what I mean? It's like these people
Thank
have
you.
spoken so much about a bunch of different shit, and whatever question that you've asked them or want to ask them, they have probably already covered in an episode of their
Yeah.
podcast or whatever. And I remember Stephen Bartlett saying this as an example in like his early episodes of, oh, I have random DMs of people asking me like, oh, how do I get an idea, or how do I start a business, or how can I navigate this? And it's like, oh, well, did you listen to this episode? And they were like, oh, no. It's like, well, why do you think I'm doing this then? It's so I can be a mentor to the
Yeah,
world,
but
not just to you.
that's kind of a dick response from him. You got to think
Mm,
it's a dick, and I
if
think it.
if it was, I sorry to cut you off, but I would say
Yeah,
though, if you are going to reach out to someone who is literally the top podcast in the world and you DM him and he's like,
yeah.
and it's just something like, oh, how do I start a business? And he has 1,000 episodes on that, you
Put it
have to do
this
your
way.
due diligence.
Put it this way, and
No?
I'm not opening the floodgates to random people messaging me because I just won't reply if it's nonsense questions. I just won't. I wouldn't go out of my way to say something like that would deter someone or that make them feel like why are you talking to me? I wouldn't do that. I'd like you just not reply. And if I did, it would be because I've gone through your Instagram account or something and gone, oh, you've actually got an interest in life that I'd want to learn from.
Yeah.
And I think there's different types of there's different types of mentor, and I'm not going to actively shape Stephen Bartlett into one of them because I've not been mentored by him and I don't know what characteristics he would fit into. But I would say there's the kind of people that do it for their own vanity, to just feel like they are in charge of someone, or to seem like they're better than someone. There's a type of person that does it because they want to learn and they want to experience other people's lives through conversation. And there is the other side of it, people who are generally just enjoy seeing people do well in life. They just want to, and they want to do everything they can to help, because that's the joy they get out of life. Is the purpose they have in life is to help others get to the next stage. And there, in between all those variations is like different types of people, right? You could have people that a mix of two of the things I've said. You could have people that to some point in their life they've touched on all three and they've
Mm,
developed. But I will say that there are some people that are very harsh in their mentoring style, and it's kind of like you've got to find a mentor that not necessarily aligns with your characteristics, but aligns with your learning style.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're someone who's trying to learn from someone else, and that's why I took like maybe a bit of an aggressive response to what you said about Steve Bartlett, because arguably someone coming to you as a mentee is coming to you because they don't know better. If they knew better, they wouldn't be coming to you. If
Mm,
they knew everything you already know, they wouldn't come to you. They would offer you help and advice, right? It wouldn't be the other way around,
yeah.
or you'd be going to them. So you've got to kind of you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, and you've got to grit your teeth when people say dumb stuff or
Mm,
people say things that to you is dumb. Because I've come to learn that in life, a lot of the things I've learned now leave me in a position where I think things are obvious. Like, why can't you see it that way? But then I have to remember that that's the reason I get hired for the jobs I do.
mm,
And that's the reason why certain things get made by certain people and certain things just get bought by certain people, is because we don't all know everything and not everything's obvious to everyone else. So mentors, I've had a mentor, like I've had someone try to be my mentor and then talk to me like that. And I don't take well to that at all. Like people who put you down as way to like make you, if you're not my Thai boxing coach, get back in your box. Like I didn't ask for your help.
yeah.
You see what I
That's
mean? It's that kind of thing. I can't stand that.
yeah. Have you played the role of mentor to someone else before?
Yes, a few times
How did
actually,
you find
quite a
that?
few times. I've I played it. I played the role too. I was too immature to be someone's mentor, so I did it for. I wanted to feel special when I first did it. Now it's different, but when I first started mentoring like, mainly like uni students and stuff, I wanted to feel like, look how far I've come as a student. Like I've got a really cool job and really cool company. Let me guide you in life and all this stuff, right? And it was more of like me just telling myself that, yeah, you're really good. Well done, Sam. Look at you. And it wasn't actually me being the kind of mentor I want to be, which is someone who genuinely just wants to see the joy in other people. Not to say that that's the only mentor you should be. Everyone learns from different kinds of people, right? But a few instances I've had is there are people that come to you and they just want an answer.
Mm,
They don't want to do the work. They just want an answer. They want a cheat code. And then when
yeah.
you tell them that there really is no cheat code, they get upset with you because it's almost like, why are you hiding stuff from me? I'm just like, no, like when I've had people close to me that I've mentored. I've had people that have kind of gone, they've lost their jobs and stuff, and I'm like, oh, they're students usually, but they'll be like, oh, like talk me through this. And I'm like, yeah, let's have some catch ups, and then we'll book a catch up, and they turn up, be like, right, so I want to do this job, in this company, get it for me. Basically, it's basically like, how can I get? Oh, I want to work with your company. Can you get me a job there? I was like, I thought we were going to like develop you, not just
Yeah.
me send you referrals. And then it's like, oh no, I just want that job. So can you do that for me? And I was like, no, because here's the thing. I've likely decided to mentor you or agreed to mentor you because I see an opportunity to do something amazing. As an opportunity to have someone be successful and ultimately impacts my reputation. Like to play a role in a successful journey is great. And to be able to say that, and it's still selfish, but nothing is really selfless. It's kind of, I've looked at this person and gone, yeah, you're moldable. Like I see you making very obvious mistakes that I had made that I can like guide you through to avoid because I felt the punishment of them. But if I talk to someone, they're basically just going, tell me how to get a job, I will try and give you a chance of being like, there is no answer to this, but I can show you how, and you can work out the answer for yourself because that's generally the only way you'll be successful in this. And then
Mm.
they kind of look at it like, oh, why are you spitting riddles? Like, well, just give me the answer. It's like when you watch like when they go to the old witch in the cauldron and she starts riddling stuff. I finally get it because sometimes people generally need to know the answer for themselves because it's
Yeah.
more impactful that way. You can't just tell someone the answer, and most times there isn't an answer. There isn't an answer that as a mentor I could give a lot of people that is applicable in all situations. However, there's an approach to finding the answer that's applicable in all situations, and that's what I like to teach people. That's what I like to give as mentors: how to find that answer for yourself, because then you can fix most situations yourself. If I give you the one answer, you're going to be in my DMs every day you have a question, and eventually I'll be doing 3 jobs: my job and the new job you've just applied for, because you'd
Mm.
be asking me how to do it every day. So it's kind of thinking about it from that perspective. I have had some nightmare situations of literally someone talking to me like I clean their shoes when they've asked me to be their mentor, and just being like, no, do this for me. Okay, do that for me. Can you fill out this? I was like, what are you doing here? And I just ignore
Yeah.
them. I'll just be like, no, I'm not talking. And I've had other situations where, bless them, they're just so helpless. And it's like, there's certain things, challenges in life that you need to be mentally prepared for. And I'm just looking at this poor person. I'm just like, you don't want this. Someone in your life has told you that you want this, and now you really want to do this thing. Like someone in your life has told you that you want to be I don't know, you want to start running a dance studio. So now that's all you care about. But I'm looking at you, and you do not care about dancing. You care about the money it'll make you. If you care about money, finance bros make money. They do well in life. They're happy. Like it's a path there for you. But it's kind of when people show you that they've got wants that don't align with what you really should be doing, or if you give them advice. And let me shape it this way: there's also a worst case scenario of, I'm trying really hard not to name drop because it's hard for me to like picture context without like describing people in a certain way, but
Mm.
I think it's best I don't, because I really do wish them all the success, and I don't want them looking on this thinking, oh, is he talking about me like that? Because there's a level of trust that comes with being a mentor as well, that I can't really like upset people in that way. But ultimately, I've had the kind of people who, they just want me to tell them what they think is right. They just need another voice to repeat it back to them.
Mm.
And I'm just like, no, I don't agree with that sentiment. It would be like, oh, like, let me give an example without giving too much of an example. Okay, they'll be like, oh, I want to start a car selling company. Okay, I'll be like, I know something about the automotive industry. I can talk you through like the ideation process for like products and stuff. We can do this. And it's like, okay, cool. We'll start talking about it. But everything you're telling me is how to sell planes, not how to sell a car. But then you want me to agree to your version of how to sell planes, but in reference to cars. And I'm just sat there thinking, no, none of this makes sense. You need to go and research more. And it'll be like, no, 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 this is what I researched and I'm right. And it's like, okay, if you're right, then why do you need me? And she'd be like, oh, because I thought you're successful, you can help me. And it's like, you're not asking me to help you, though. You're just saying stuff to me and then hoping I'll
Yeah.
just agree with everything you say. So then you can run off and say, Sam advised you to do this. I'm not going to co-sign stupidity. So no, I
Mm.
can't agree with you. So there's those cases. And I'd say, as someone who's a mentor, and I encourage people who've got stories to sell, I guess, but to share, to give it a go in terms of like having conversations with people and trying to help each other. I'd say it's definitely helped me understand how to be more patient with people,
Mm.
because there's so many characters out there. I think it's easy to just assume everyone is just one type of person, like an NPC. Everyone's just another person you talk to, and we all know the same things. No, there's different degrees to different levels of intelligence and different stories for everyone, and you can't just paint everyone the same brush. So that's been my experience. How about you, though? Have you been a
Yeah, I have.
mentor to
So,
other people?
it's part of the. You've probably been the same one as me. I would assume, but I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
the NTU alumni Black Leadership
Oh yeah,
Program.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done the
So
alumni, not the Black
I was
Leadership Program.
I think it's like partially intertwined, but yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I was doing that for a few years. I actually still mentor a woman now called Jess. She listens to the pod.
Oh
She's a
wow.
fan of the
Okay.
pod. And she's by far the best mentee, because she like, when someone wants, like, they have the drive,
Mm-hmm.
but they just need like some help and like some direction. They're gonna like take action. It's not just for the sake of, oh, I heard you've worked here, and you're just gonna get me to where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. It's very much like I want to learn and I want to be able to get advice from someone in your position and all that sort of stuff. So, and Jess is definitely that. And when I mentioned a while ago, it was like, I think I referred to Jess when it was she wanted to have like a ridiculous raise in like the first year of a job, and I was like, Jess, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, like, that's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna
and
happen.
and I love that relationship that we have, because she'll reach out to me out of the blue, like it's not like a monthly thing, but she might reach out to me like maybe every 3 to
Mm.
6 months, and she'll just come to me with a dilemma, and I'll just kind of help her piece it together. But I've been very brutally like honest with her like the entire time, because you can't usually go to a VP or a manager and be like, okay, this is how you negotiate salary, and this is how you
Mm.
get more salary, and I'm able to kind of share those things with her, um, and like tell her how I've navigated those situations before, and she kind of applied it to her situation, which is great. I've definitely had other mentees that, again, have they kind of like, oh yeah, can you like do my CV? And it's like, well, no,
I'm
if you
not gonna
give
do
me
the
your
work for you.
CV, if you give me the
Yeah.
CV, I've literally annotated the entire thing,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's for you to do the work. And a lot of them are like, oh, okay. And I'm like, no, you're going to put in the work. Like, I'm here to
Yeah.
guide you. I'm not doing your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of them as well, he just like organized like, oh, Lewis, I heard you earlier, it's so great to meet you, like da, 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 da. I was like, yeah, cool, put in the call. And bear in mind, for the mentorship, we're only supposed to have 3 calls with them. I've offered
Mm-hmm.
calls as often as you want because I want to help you. And one of them like just didn't join the call, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do my due diligence and meet you once and be like, look, if you want to reach out, fine. His camera was off the whole time. And
Mm.
then I was like, okay, never heard from him again. So it's mainly been one of this guy, and then mainly Jess.
That's disrespectful, though.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not being
That's
funny.
disrespectful.
I'm not being paid to do this. Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
help you, and I think I think a good mentor mentee relationship is when someone has the drive but not the guidance, but someone who has the guidance. And that's a very good relationship to have when
Mm.
you want to help someone who wants to be helped. If you don't want to be helped and you're just signing for a mentorship because it's like, oh yeah, it's Black Leadership Fellowship, and oh yeah, this guy's worked at Microsoft, Spotify, yeah, he'll get me a job. You're a dick. You're actually a dick. Like, and you're just trying to use the system, try to get what you
Yeah.
want. Whereas if you actually be like, oh, cool, how you should frame it is, this person is a position that I would like to replicate or be in my field, and they probably have something of value that I can learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you should approach it. And that's what Jess does, which
Yeah.
is really great. And I think,
It depends on
yeah.
what it seems. It depends on what your mentor mentee relationship is based on, though, isn't it? And what topic as well.
Hmm,
Like my coach
absolutely.
Lee is kind of like, well, he's kind of become like a life coach as well as my Thai boxing coach, right? And our relationship's different. He's very like, he's a lovely man, definitely a lovely man. Like if you need a hug, he'll give you one. But as soon as training starts, he's not your dad. He's not your best friend. He's coach. He's Lee. Like he's going to now break you because he doesn't want you to see you get slapped up in front of everyone, in front of his friends. So he's got a bunch of losers training with him, right? So it's kind of, it depends what that relationship is, and being able to switch it on and off is quite vital, depending on what your relationship is outside of your mentor mentee scenario. Uh, but yeah, I think Jess is definitely lucky to have you as a mentor, and
Yeah,
I'd like
thank you,
to
man.
think you appreciate that. You appreciate working with her as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good because she actually takes action. She doesn't just like be like, when some people just come to you and just complain and then don't take advice, and then they keep making the same shit. It's like
It
when your
just gets
mates just keep
tiring.
on bitching about, oh,
Yeah.
this girl's treating me like shit. It's like, break
Yeah.
up with her then. It's like, but I can't. It's like, but you can. You just don't want
But
to.
you're gonna sit and
You're
take
gonna
away
sit here and
2 hours of my
complain.
life talking
Yeah,
about this.
absolutely.
And it's like, yeah, there gets a point where you want to be there for someone, but it's like, how long until you just decide that I need to help myself by saving myself from this conversation? And it's, yeah, I get what you
Absolutely,
mean.
man.
I fully get what you
But I
mean.
think finding a good mentor is basically like where you go to find good advice as well. Because
Yeah.
say you want to stop smoking, you wouldn't
Mhm.
go to a drug addict to learn how to stop smoking, would you? Or get advice? You wouldn't. It's like, oh, I don't
Depends.
smoke anymore, but I do crack. It's like, do you know what I mean?
True. That
It's
is
like
true.
you wouldn't. So
That is
when
true.
you go to your mentor, like, make sure it's
That's
relevant.
true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right. You're right. Make sure they're taking the same drugs as you. You're 100% right, Lewis.
Yeah, it's like you gotta learn properly from like the right person who's overcome that hurdle. Do you know what I mean? And just
You've got
because, gone,
check their. I was gonna say you've got to check their track record.
yeah,
You've actually got to do some research on them. Just because they drive a nice car doesn't mean they're not a drug dealer. Like, or
mm,
like, just because they wear a suit doesn't mean that they're not bankrupt and they're about to like foreclose in their home. You've
yeah,
got to just people look out for people. I think on it's quite a common basis. Look for a mentor based on the successes they see in that person's life,
mm,
rather than actually what life lessons have they got to offer me.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, this is what I actually did do. So last year, when I was going through all the shit that was last
Hmm.
year, and NT were like, "Oh, do you want to be a mentor again this year?" I actually said no because I was like, I shouldn't, I shouldn't be giving out advice at this moment because
Mm.
I'm not in a position that I want someone to be in.
No.
So I was like, I shouldn't be giving out advice to people because I'm not in a position where I'm in a position where I think I'm failing. So it'll be
Yeah.
irresponsible of me to give out advice
A hun-
because it's
a
not
hundred
working for me at the
percent.
moment. And it's really
Yeah.
funny because my mate Ricky, he was like, oh, um, he was like, I was going to ask you to look over my like sister's CV. As I don't know if you had time, and I
Mm.
was like, Rick, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, I've applied for 1,000 jobs with this CV, and it's got me nowhere. I was like, don't ask me for advice. I was like, I'm not the man to go to. Like, I used to be him. I'm not anymore. And he was piercing himself laughing. We're having a pint. I was like, Ricky, I'm so fucking done with this year. Don't ask me for advice. Do you want your sister to end up
Oh
like me? He was
damn.
like, nah. I was like, I didn't think so. I was like, why are you gonna ask me for advice? It's like you don't ask a homeless person advice on how to buy a home, do you?
That hit home hard. That hit home so hard. Do you know how many people asking for CV advice whilst I was going through redundancy?
Yeah,
Do you
I
know?
was like,
It's actually crazy. That
it's like,
hits home
why?
so hard.
Why are you asking me
It's
for
like
advice?
it's one of those. It's like, does this look like a good time for me to be helping
Yeah.
you? This is like
Do you want
career
interview
wise. Is
advice?
this a
Yeah,
good time?
exactly.
Because right now I feel like a fraud. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the other thing as well. To kind of maybe help the world avoid more of the version one type of mentor, let's call it, the ones that basically do it for their own self-fulfilling prophecy, or the ones that's definitely the wrong term to use. I just say nonsense sometimes. People that do it for their own ego,
Yeah.
like those kind of people, just to avoid them, it's well, to avoid being one of those people, you need to make sure that you're in the right mental space to actually care about someone's outcomes and
Yeah.
someone's
I
success.
you know what I think is a really good way to circumvent that? Ask
Oh,
them why
go
they want
on.
to be a mentor.
That's a really good question.
Because if you
That's a really
if
good
you
question.
ask them and they
Yeah.
seem attacked, they're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Mm,
And I actually think I think Jess actually asked me why I was doing it. And I basically said, well, I had lots of advice when I was at NTU and
yeah.
wanted to give back because I got to these places because of the advice and I wanted to give advice to people who were in a similar position to me. And she was
Mm,
like, oh, cool. And it's like, it shouldn't be a question that seems like an attack because,
yeah. It
you know,
shouldn't be an attack if they're in the right
if you're getting
space mentally.
something good for
Yeah.
free, you should ask why they're getting it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Some things are too good to be true.
Yeah.
You got to
So
clear that up
I think
first. Yeah,
I
you're
think it's
right.
valid to ask like why are you mentoring?
Right.
So I think that's a
I
good way
fa-
to
I found
circumvent
a
it.
good I found a good mentor story on Reddit and I shared it with you. but I'm dyslexic, so you're gonna have to edit this into the cleanest.
Do you want me just to? How? What do you
Read it
mean you
for
sent it to
me?
me? What do you mean you sent it to me?
Check the chat. Check the Riverside chat.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay,
Can you
okay.
read it for me, please? Read me a
You
story.
need to send this to me on
Read me a
WhatsApp,
story,
man.
Dad.
Send this to me on WhatsApp.
I'm not sending you to a WhatsApp so you can read it off your phone. You can just copy and paste
Okay,
that
all right,
into your
okay, okay, okay,
URL.
okay, okay,
Do
okay,
not
fine.
copy and paste it into the same tab, Lewis. We're not
No,
going
no, I
through
didn't, I
this.
didn't, I didn't, I didn't.
Open a new
Okay,
tab.
I've opened it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Jesus Christ. You
Okay,
gotta be careful sometimes with you.
Sam, I'll ask you to read. I swear to God.
Oh god, I'm sorry. Honestly.
Okay,
I found it
so
and I was like, if I have to read it,
so
it'll be
this
like
is
English all over again.
so this is okay. Worst mentor you ever had. Okay, I'll read this out.
Mhm.
So, oh guys, Reddit post. God, we're
I know,
evolving.
right? I love Reddit.
Okay, I, like many of you, have had some awful mentors. I want to hear all your horror stories. I'll start. Here's mine. The first mentor I ever had when I was 18, fresh out of trade school. This guy was some bald dude in his mid-40s who clearly wanted nothing to do with training me. He would constantly disappear and then get mad if I asked someone else a question while he was gone. He would straight up lie to me when I would ask questions, then try to gaslight me into thinking he said something else and I was just stupid. I ended up writing down everything he said in my notes and having him check it. Then he couldn't deny it if he gave me false information again, since he'd approved it. The cherry on top was when he told me that men and women's brains work differently, so he wasn't sure if I'd be able to do this job, with my lady brain and all. My coworker overheard him and told the boss about it, but not much was done. I guess my mentor got spoken to though because he came up to me and threatened me for getting the boss involved, brackets, even though I didn't. Not sure why this middle-aged dude got off on bullying a teenage girl, but oh well. 7 years later, I'm still in the trade and haven't met a bigger asshole yet. That is mad.
That is a mad one. There is so that whole subreddit is just madness. Like that whole subreddit is just
Jesus.
it's like I think they're called like the mechanists subreddit if anyone wants to go find it for themselves. But the whole like there's so many more in there that are madness, and it's so telling when someone wants to be a mentor and does it voluntarily versus someone who's definitely getting X amount per hour extra at work
Mm.
to teach young people how to do their job. And the difference is the effort they put into it and the way they actually treat their mentees. I feel like a lot, I'm going to say a lot, knowing that it's not all of them, not all older people at work or not all experienced people at work are the same, but there is a lot of them who haven't gone to uni, but have an issue with young people that have gone to uni. And it's almost, there's definitely a difference in how they treat their mentees based on that. So if I find that people, and it works both ways, by the way, I find that people who've gone to like high end Russell Group unis, and it's not happened often to me, but I've seen it happen to others. I find that people that go to high end Russell Group unis and then they mentee someone who has been to uni, but they're like just a poly or something to them, they talk down to that person, and it's almost like they assume that your capacity for learning is so weak. I'm only going to teach you this much out of this much, but it's all right because that's all you need to know to get as far as you're ever going to get in life, right? And then I usually see them look. Interesting enough, I'll recognize that when they speak to someone who hasn't been to uni but has a lot of experience, it's still like a talking down exercise, but it's a sense of fear that this guy actually might know what he's talking about because he's actually lived the experience and I'm just chatting nonsense and I've got here. You know what I mean? So there's that behavior. And then on the other side of it, it's people who haven't been to uni before. You have a uni student sat in front of you asking for advice. And almost like the first section of the advice they have to give you is to remind you that it's just a piece of paper. Like that first conversation has to, at some point, touch on the fact that
Yeah.
I get it, you went to uni, but that don't mean nothing here. You need to reset and realign with us normies. And you need to get over this whole idea that you have a degree, so you're better than us.
It's
And
so true.
every time, oh my god, the aggression showed by me hitting the boom arm. Let me repeat that again. Almost every time I've worked with someone who has gone to a uni and it's in a position where they feel forced to mentor me, that's the conversation I have to go through. Is, oh, I get that you went to uni, but like you need to put you need to put that piece of paper aside. And they're not wrong. Don't get me wrong. They're not wrong. It is just a piece of paper to an extent, but it's almost like ensuring that you know your place in the rankings before you become their students. You must now lower yourself. You must now accept that you've worked hard for nothing. And I don't like those people. I do not. As soon as I hear that conversation, as soon as that bit comes up in the conversation, I'm straight up just like, yeah, I don't respect you anymore. I just don't respect you. You could tell me the cure for cancer, and I think you're just an idiot regardless. Because that whole introduction to this conversation, all it's told me is you've got an insecurity problem. Because it didn't factor, right? Me going to uni and me maybe thinking, oh, I'm proud of myself going to uni, doesn't really factor on the advice you've got to give me in terms of there's essence, there's truths that you can tell me, but shaping my mindset to feel like, oh, I'm not worthy because I went to uni, I need to get over it and move on. Shaping my mindset to that kind of sits there like, no, you're just a bit of a dick, really, aren't you? Because you
Mm.
could have given me good advice without making that comment. Like this guy could have given good advice without having to highlight that men and women's brains work differently. They don't, and they do in some degrees, I guess. But does it matter
It's
in
not
the terms
relevant.
of
Yeah,
exactly,
it's just not relevant.
exactly that? It's not relevant. So it's always when people make irrelevant comments like that, to me, it's a sign of insecurity because it has nothing to do with the topic, but some part of your brain feels the urge to make sure they've highlighted that and covered that before you can move on, which makes me think it's a defensive mechanism in your brain that has to bring that up to cover that basis. So then going forwards, we now are at the attention of, okay, now we've realized that your piece of paper doesn't make me smarter than me,
Mm.
doesn't make you smarter than me. You must learn from my ways. And I'm just looking at you like, no, is there someone else here who can start the conversation without that specific topic? Like, who else can I go and respect? And I don't think I've actually had a good relationship with anyone.
Mm. It's
there's probably one or two
yeah.
people that I actually have really, and it's because they didn't start that topic. But yeah,
No,
I don't think I had a good
it's so
relationship with
true, man.
anyone
I
that's done
think a
that.
lot of people love to give advice when you haven't asked for it, and
Worst kind of people.
it's always when you're in a position that they low key seem to want to be in. For
Yeah.
example, right? Say, take Rose and I for example. We've been dating almost 2 years, and you would get like comments from people in their 50s or 60s being like, oh well, you're still young and da 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 da, and it's
Mm.
like, I didn't ask for your advice, Mr. Three
Stop.
Divorces. Like, what do you
Stop
mean?
trying to
Like,
vicariously live through my happiness.
yeah, like,
Do you? Yeah, I hear
okay,
that.
okay, 3 divorces and a serial cheater. Like, I didn't ask you to say any comments. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's
There's an
like,
uncle somewhere that just stood up on their chair.
yeah,
There's an
and it's
uncle
like,
somewhere that just stood up and got angry.
yeah, and so many people love to make comments like, oh, you're young still, and enjoy your life. It's like, yeah, I am enjoying my life
Yeah.
with my lovely partner. Like, stop trying to tell me I should be single just because you
I
hate your
hear that.
husband.
I
Like, do
hear
you know
that.
what I mean?
I hear
And
that.
it's like,
Jesus Christ, I hear
yeah,
that. It is, and we've talked about it a few times in our pods. It's around taking advice with a pinch of salt.
yeah,
It's take on board the advice, knowing that that person is restricted to the experiences they've lived and the
mm,
knowledge they've gained in their experience, and that they're going to give you advice based on that, based on the trauma they've had, because they want to save you from it, or
mm,
they like even like in me, like if I've done it before, I regret it. Of like someone will come to me about like they've been done bad by a girl or something, right? And I'm like, I'll break up with her, leave her now. It's like, but I'm speaking from my trauma, and a lot of people do that. A lot of female friends I've had do it as well. A lot of guy friends I've had it. People do this. They speak from trauma and they speak aggressively. It would be like when you when I've seen some girl group chats and it's about ex guy left ex girl on her own on a date, or ex guy he stood her up, he didn't turn up for the date, and straight away the group chat touched with, oh, he ain't this, he ain't that, oh, he's scum, leave him alone, go find yourself a better man. And then like, God forbid, down the line, it turns out someone in their family got hit by a car and they couldn't make it. But now you've gone through this trail of nonsense with your friends, and now you've gone and broken up with this, Donny. Now you've got to reverse this, but you can't. Damage is done, and it brings us onto the topic of people won't live the life that they advise you to lead. Like
mm.
people wouldn't live that experience. And I know I've specifically chosen girl group who do this to each other a lot, but I witness it a lot. Please stop doing this. Boy groups as well, stop giving toxic advice, right? She said no, she meant no. Go away. It works in all directions, people. My harsh words are equal to everyone. But in general though, it is that people will not suffer the repercussions of their advice to you.
Mm,
Even if you record them doing it, you did it. If they tell you to do something, if they advise you down the path and you take it, and now you're single alone and eating
yeah,
cereal out of a cup,
yeah.
you made the choice to get there.
You know, it's really funny as well because like I'm sure everyone has. Do you have a friend who will come up to you and ask for advice, like the hard truth advice, and you give
And
it
then
to
get upset
them?
when they hear the truth.
Yeah,
That's a lot of my friends, but I'm
and it's
apparently the
like,
bad
why
guy.
are you coming me? You came to me
Yeah.
for advice. I'm not arguing with you over the truth that you asked me to give you.
Let me say it now so all my friends who are listening to this episode can understand. If I have wasted time being mean to you, it's because I care. If not, I could have just gone, and walked off. That's what I
Yeah,
could have done. I could be like, oh yeah, left it there. But no, I took my time to break you down emotionally and tell you what you're doing wrong because you asked for my opinion. And then I went, but I love you and I'm here to talk to you. I'm here for you if you want to ever catch up again. Don't look at that and think, oh, he didn't tell me how amazing I am and how I'm not in the wrong. No, sometimes you got to be held accountable for being an idiot. Sometimes
yeah,
you do. And I value the friends, eventually, I value the friends that do it to me. I get upset when people give me like advice that basically craps on me,
yeah.
everything I've done wrong.
You
But
need,
eventually, I'm just
yeah.
like, I get it. I'm a dick.
Like I think you got to have at least one friend who will give you the hard truth and not just be like,
100%.
yeah, feed into the delusion because you're
Yeah.
happy. I'm not just going to be like, yeah, man, it's great, super happy for you. I'm not going to pretend to be happy for you if I'm not happy for you and I think you're
Yeah.
making a mistake and ruining your life. I'm just not going
And
to.
the statement I'm going to say now is as enjoyable as it is to be right. And I've enjoyed it many times because I'm often right when I'm being mean to people. And they eventually work out I'm right. But then I've been so mean that they don't want to come and let me have my moment of saying I told you so. And that's good because I think that's something that anyone who's a friend or anyone who's a mentor is do not seek gratification in someone else's demise proving you right. There's no value in doing that other than giving yourself a pat on the back. It's funny, we're kiki keying, right? It's funny, and I'm sure. I mean, I've been in the same situation as that friend you've spoken about,
Yeah.
and other people we know have been in similar situations. Not even just relationship wise; it could be work wise. I've given people like career advice, like do not do this, and then they'll come back
Mm.
and be like, "Yeah, I got fired." I'm like, "I told you you were getting set up. Why did you do it? They were
Yeah.
obviously setting you up to fail here." And there's so many times, but the only time I would go to someone and be like, I told you so, is to make sure the next time they come and ask for my advice, they remember that I was right.
Mm.
And that if we sit down and spend hours breaking down your story, and I literally go stage by stage, almost to the molecule, and we invest in it, we talk about it, we have discussions, and then we come out for a conclusion. The next time I do that, know that I'm not doing it just because I'm bored and I want to have a quick chat. Know that I'm doing it because it matters. And that's the only time I would go, I told you I was right. But the kind of people that will forever enjoy the fact that they were right about something. And you know what's worse? Constantly remind them about it. Now, if they're doing
Oh no,
better in
that's
life, it'd be
mean.
like,
Yeah.
if they're doing better in life, it'd be like, remember that time you were homeless? Told you not to do that, right? And then it's like, I have a Lamborghini now. It's like, yeah, but remember that time you were homeless? It's like, but you live in a single bed flat. No, but remember the time you were homeless? I
Yeah.
told you not to. It's like, but you ride a bike to work. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those where like it's over and done with now. The success has come up. People are doing well in life now. And it's looking at someone and kind of going, fair play, well done. Or if they're still in a bad situation, looking at them and being like, here to help you because I'm your friend, that kind of thing. So seeking gratification and mocking people, as enjoyable as it is to be right. And boy, I do love it when I'm right. Don't get me wrong. I'll say now to everyone that I've been right, I do still think about it. I do, I do still enjoy that I was right. You're not wrong in thinking that, yep, he will never let this go. I haven't. I won't say it to you, but I do remember that I was right. And that doesn't mean that I have to remind you that was right. That doesn't mean you have to remind the person that you were right. Not all the time. You got to let it go and let them just embrace the successes and forget about the wrong that's been done to them. What do you think about people that are paid to be mentors, teachers?
Hmm.
What do you think about the idea of actually paid mentorship? Because teachers is just a job. It's not just a job, but it's a job and it's a
Paid
calling
mentor.
someone to.
It doesn't. It doesn't sit well with me.
It doesn't, does it?
And the reason being is that because you're paid to do something
Mm-hmm.
and there's output that's attached to when you're being
Yeah.
paid, right? So if I'm paying you to be a mentor, I'm expecting an outcome, not just conversation because I want your
Yep.
advice to lead to something. So I think it's hard to measure the success of being a paid mentor. Um, it would keep a mentor accountable if there is like a metric. If it's like a no win, no fee, like lawyers, but if
Right.
it's like if that was the terms in terms of like mentorship, like this will lead to you getting X in X amount of time, then it keeps them accountable. But say, using Stephen Bartlett example, say you paid him $500K for a year of mentorship, you
Yeah.
get nothing
That's
from
a
it.
mad fee. I know people like
Do you know what I
Jay-Z
mean?
charge crazy amounts just for
like
one meeting.
it's like the same thing as like, would you have $500,000 or dinner with Jay-Z?
Yeah, that's the question.
Do you know
That's
what I
the
mean?
yeah.
And it's
I was
like,
like, give me the $500,000,
give me the
man. I'll work my
$500,000.
way.
Even
I'll
Jay-Z
work
would
my
say
way up
take
to
a
Jay-Z
$500,000.
dinner at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Um,
crazy.
I think one, it depends on how expensive it is. I think if you're paying for a mentor, it has to be someone who is extremely reputable. And I think, for example, I think in the physical aspect, it could be it's very easy to measure. So, for example,
Yeah.
like David Goggins, if you got him to be like your
I would
fitness
cry myself to sleep
mentor, you probably
if I got
would.
signed
But
up
if
for
you
that.
wanted him to like get you into ridiculous shape or
Yeah.
some sort of like coach, like to get you into top tier shape, that's easy to track. When
Yeah.
it's something very abstract, such as like your career and your happiness and like, you know, changing your income, it's a lot harder to track. So I think I wouldn't pay a mentor. I would pay a coach. If I'm like, I want to have my abs looking like ravioli in 6 months' time,
Yeah.
then we could track that. We could track that progress because there are
Ravioli's a mad vision to have,
easy
man.
metrics. Do you see what I mean?
I get what you mean, though. I get what
Yeah.
you mean. But I just like my low span for attention. My low attention span. God, I couldn't even finish a sentence properly. My low attention span led me down to like Lewis wearing a vest of ravioli. I'm just like, why is that in my head?
I already know.
Sorry, carry
know
on.
you've been cooking your resolution of getting better sleep.
Oh yeah, God. Oh no, I've been. Yeah, actually, yeah. I think when I say stuff out loud, my brain just decides no. I hear you,
Bro,
and
it's
I'm
like
ignoring
ping
that now.
900 with your brain and
Yeah,
mouth right now.
it literally is.
Yeah.
It's next week. I'll finish the sentence I'm saying. I'll be like,
But
haha.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about paid mentorship?
I think a mentor should only be paid if they have to make a sacrifice to help you. If someone is just doing so, there's different levels, right? And sacrifice your time. You're giving up your time to talk to someone could be seen as sacrifice. All this stuff. That's fine. But if it's already agreed upon that this is their life, or their life is to teach you something they've done in the past, they don't do that anymore. They've cut it off and now they're focused on I'm being paid to share this knowledge with others. That's fine. So Lee, my coach, I pay him. He's my coach. He ain't gonna do it for free. But in line to that, I also get, guidance around my physical health, my diet. I get all these other things that arguably, if you actually added it on, he's being underpaid significantly by everyone that trades with him. But he loves the game and he doesn't charge any extra. If he doesn't turn up, if we don't do training for half the month, he'll just be like, no, you know what? Don't bother paying next month because I didn't really give you money. He loves the game. That's what I want from a mentor. But I think it's more like if let's say I lived in France and I had a mentor who had to come see me every week to catch up, and I'm like, I'm not going to pay you because you're meant to love me enough. You're meant to love the game. That's nonsense because they're having to make a sacrifice by traveling that far to come and see me and to come and guide me. The other hand, it's kind of I disagree with just the general idea of like a mentor charging someone or a mentor doing it like a side hustle and charging people. As much as I pivoted in that direction, I probably still am tempted to if people keep asking for my advice. At some point, I'm going to have to meet the demand with charging people. It is going to have to happen, but it's a telltale sign of as soon as money gets involved, it becomes how can I efficiently make this more profitable? And as soon as you become efficiently made more profitable, all the love is gone out of the game. It's just a numbers game. It becomes very process driven. And next thing you know, you're being signed up for YouTube courses by this person.
Yeah.
And you've not seen them for 3 weeks.
And I think you get a different kind of mentorship because say, I'm going to stop using Stephen. Let's say Gary Vee, right? If you're Gary Vee's like close friend or you met him through a connection or whatever and you build a relationship and then you get mentorship, that's going to be very different from a random email sending you 500 quid for 5 hours of Gary Vee. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be very different because there'll be a mutual understanding there of like, okay, I know what you're like, and you have that bond already. Whereas you can't build that emotional bond just with like a one-way transaction,
Yeah.
and you get a different type of relationship because I can't ask like Gary Vee questions like I'm his mate when we haven't built that bond. But
Yeah.
if that bond is artificially built through paying,
Hmm.
I'm not going to feel, despite how much money I've sent you, I'm not going to get the real advice that
Yeah.
you would give me because
Have you ever paid
then
for a
there's like,
mentor?
no.
I've never done, and I would be interested to know what it's like to actually have paid for mentorship, what that experience is like. Because I'm saying this completely from what I think the experience is like. But I've never paid for someone's time. When I've met them, I've bought them a coffee and stuff. I've done all this stuff, but I've never paid for someone's time to mentor me or to guide me. And the whole idea of it does seem a bit stupid in terms of why would I pay you to do that? Like I want, but then I think I'm basing it on the idea that all the mentors I've had a relationship with them
Mm.
before they become a mentor,
It's
whether I've
different.
worked with them or
Yeah.
for them or something like that.
Yeah. Like it's different if they're teaching you something like
Yeah.
masterclass when they're like, it's like Timberland teaching how to
Yes.
produce, or it's
Yes.
like a workshop. But if it's just like, I want some advice, I think it's quite stupid. Unless they're teaching
Agreed.
you a very specific high income skill, I don't think you should be paying for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed. I think it is that it has to if it's transactional, it has to have started off as a transactional relationship, as
Yeah,
in they
and there has
found
to
you
be a
online.
metric.
Yeah,
Mm.
they found you online. You're going to get X amount of hours and sessions. It's not just random ad hoc catch ups, and it could be, but at least it's agreed to from the beginning. But if I'm your friend or you're my friend and you come to me for mentorship and I go, okay, you got to pay me £20 an hour for the catch ups, I'm just going to be like, what the fuck? That it's weird.
Mm.
It's just weird to act like you care and do that. But
Okay,
hey,
so
people make different
devil's
money doing
advocate
this.
then, because I'm now thinking this now. I'm just trying to think. Okay, well, what's the
Yeah,
difference between paid mentorship and paying a therapist?
that's exactly what I was thinking earlier. Can I just say?
Yeah.
I was thinking exactly that. And it goes back to what I said before. If they don't do anything else and all they do is that mentorship deal, or
Mm.
if all they do is that, that's their job. And you've got to respect that by paying it. If that's their main income, if they literally have given up, if they've decided I've got to as far as I can in my journey,
Mm.
and I'm going to stop financially supporting myself with the experience from this journey, because I've decided that the love of this comes from teaching people it, and I don't make any other income. All I do is share this knowledge. They've got to be compensated somehow. It's not. It's almost like, why do priests get paid? Like you got to give them something for the sacrifice they made. Like you've got to like fund them. And I'm not talking about these Pentecostals. I'm about to get hunted down. So I'm about to get hung, drawn, and quartered by these people. But it's not like a bloody like Benny Hinn type person flying private jets, preaching gospel, and then flying back out. I'm not saying to that degree pay them, but I'm saying more like if they have a reasonable fee, like hourly fee, and they've got experience to back up, they've got good testimonial feedback and all these things, I see no reason why they shouldn't. I see no reason why a therapist who signed up to be a therapist to help people, but also they've got bills to pay, should be paid. I want them to be able to keep doing what they're doing with me. I want you to be able to afford your heating. So when you turn up for my therapy session, we're not talking about your gas bill, we'll talk about me. That's what I want. But if someone that's already in that experience, or especially if I work for you, or if I've done a project with you, or we've got like a past history together and we've already got a bond together, I'm not going to pay you to have a catch up around my life where we talk about my life for free anyway.
Mm.
And that's the difference. Is the therapist won't talk to me unless that transaction was there, because that's their job. Same with someone who's a paid mentor I've never met before. That's their job. If we've already got a conversation going, we know each other, and then I send you my 20th message and you go, okay, that's enough of the free trial, mate. You got to pay up now. I'm like, what's going on here? Because that's weird. I think that's
Mm.
where the difference lies. If it's basically how close are you to each other, and
Okay.
that is just it. Even if they were a professional like mentor, and I knew that they were a professional mentor, but you're my friend and we've been catching up about stuff, I'm not paying you
Yeah.
for advice. I'm just not,
No, that's
because
so
we
fair.
talk about life, we talk about each other's lives all the time, and you're guiding me in something. I'm not going to start paying you now because your job is to guide people. Get
Mm.
off my DMs.
That's fair. I hear you. I hear you. All right. Well, I think it's been a really good discussion. I've enjoyed this one.
It has been. Thank
Cool.
you.
All right, guys. Well, if you've enjoyed, subscribe to the Spotify, the YouTube, follow us on Insta, the TikTok, DM us actually as well. Tell us your stories as well. We'll read them out.
Oh yeah, I want to know some bad
know some mentorship.
stories. I want to key.
Yeah.
I want to like kick my legs in bed. You know, sit at the end of the bed like reading. Like,
yeah, we need that user generated content. So
yeah, I need keys. I want to message Lewis and be like, here, listen to this. So did you see that? I want that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, more of that, please. More of that. Thank you.
Cool.
It has been fun hearing from you guys.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Do the socials. Lewis.
Lewis.
Round it back. I did not hear Xander Studios. I did not hear website. I did not hear TikTok. What are you doing?
I did say the Insta I did say the Insta and the TikTok. I didn't mention
it again. We're doing it all again. That's full.
Guys, follow us on Podcast Evolve on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us on everything else. The website, podcastevolve.com. Xander Studios, X&D, rstudios.com. Is that everything, Sam?
More passion and more energy. That's why.
Is that everything?
I want more passion and more energy. What the hell is this?
Next week.
Get some sleep. Come back tomorrow, all coffeed up. More passion and more energy. Your accountability manager is not doing her job.
9:40.
I can tell she's not doing her job. You're sad. You're sad.
All right. See you guys next week. Goodbye.
See you guys.